Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and this is the brand new Ernie Ball Music Man Retro 70s Stingray. This is the successor to the Stingray Classic, which is one of my favorite Stingrays of all time. And today we're going to answer the question, does this live up to the Stingray Classic name with the Stingray Retro? Well, we're going to find out. This is essentially a faithful replica of the 1975 Music Man Stingray, the original, featuring all of the features that were improved upon in the Stingray Classic. They're back for a second go. Yay, I guess? I'm not that excited about these. Let's talk about these particular features. First off, let's talk about the neck here. Gone is the faithful truss rod wheel, and instead we have a bullet adjustment up here at the headstock. This is much less convenient to adjust, and it requires a bit more effort. Also, you do have an increased risk of stripping your truss rod nut on a really expensive instrument. We'll talk about the price in just a second. We have a 3-bolt with a micro tilt attachment here. We also have a little hole to adjust the micro tilt. However, the tool that you need, which is a certain size Allen wrench, does not fit the little hole. I actually ended up having to remove the entire neck plate to adjust the micro tilt to get this thing set up properly. That's another thing. The micro tilt, why is it back? It's basically just an excuse for less quality control on your necks. Another downgrade that we have is just the neck quality in general. The Stingray Classics came with a figured maple neck. You had bird's eye or flamed maple, and you had either a matching maple fingerboard or a rosewood fingerboard. With the Stingray Retro basses, you just have a boring, regular maple neck. And yeah, that is not so great, especially considering the price increase. That is my biggest beef with this bass. That makes it feel like it is an overpriced wall ornament as opposed to a player's instrument. This bass is $3,300. Let that sink in. The last posted price of the Stingray Classic was $2,350. That was essentially what I paid in 2021, and that price was last listed in 2020 in January before being removed. So we have nearly a $1,000 price increase from the Stingray Classic up to the Stingray Retro. Another thing is that with all those downgrades, you only get like 3 or 4 boring colors. The Stingray Classic you can find a bunch of different neat colors. Granted that the Stingray Classics are pretty rare nowadays, however, you can get some neat colors on those, not just the black, the white, the sunburst, or the natural. You have the gold, and I have a Sterling Classic over here that has a fun color. We'll look at that bass another time, but yeah, with this bass, you just pay a lot more money and you don't really get more bass. In fact, you get less bass for the sake of it being vintage. It seems like this bass is geared towards people who want nostalgia over functionality, and that's really a shame coming from Music Man. You have the classic mute bridge here, which is a selling point on these instruments. However, these become less and less worth it the more you pay. So let's just talk about the specs real quick. Here are the specs listed up on the screen. Some notable specs are a 43mm nut width as opposed to the 41.3mm on regular Stingrays, including my Stingray Classic. This also has a 7.5-inch radius as opposed to a 9.25, which you see on more modern Stingrays. So this is a rounder fretboard overall. You have essentially the same 2-band preamp and same Alnico pickup that you get in the Stingray Classic as well. This is a vintage-inspired preamp. It's essentially the same as you get in the original Stingrays, just like what you get with the Classic. Another thing about these is you can buy a replica of these 2-band preamps from places like Bosco Music. Bosco Music actually sent me a couple of preamps. I'm a little late on making these videos, but we'll make them. They are replicas of the original 2-band preamp. They're like $100 as a drop-in, and you can use your existing SUB knobs if you're dropping it in an SUB. It's honestly it makes these things less and less worth it. Why pay $3,300 when you can pay under $1,000 with either a Sire Z3 or a Sterling, Ray 24 or Ray 4? modify it a little bit, and you can get the same type of tone and not worry about a $3,300 boat anchor. That's another thing with the weight. These are 11 pounds. These are heavy instruments. You have the slab body, which is something that you don't get on the regular Stingrays, which adds a little bit of heft. You have the classic style tuners, but you don't have a lot of neck dive. It's balanced pretty well overall. Yeah, this is a Stingray. You have the classic oval pick guard. Black is the only option for these instruments. And then on the back, you have the string through option for the bridge. A little 9-volt battery compartment with the metal cover. You don't have a battery door on these retro-inspired instruments. We have a skunk stripe on the back, which I don't believe we get on the Classic. I don't think so. But yeah, that's basically it. Let's go ahead and play this bass. I've been hesitating on making this video for a while because I feel like I have so much to say about this instrument, but it's basically the same thing. Like, this is a glorified wall ornament for people who want like a cool 70s bass that they can hang on the wall. It feels like Gibson Les Paul vibes for, you know, lawyers and stuff like that. Is anyone really gonna buy a $3,300 Stingray Retro at $3,300? That's custom bass territory. That's entry-level custom bass territory right there, and you can get a lot of bass for that money. So yeah, I could rant about this all day, but just moral of the video, I don't think that this is worth it. It's not a bad bass. Like, it's a solid Stingray, but you can get a solid Stingray for way less and have it either do more or, I don't know, just make it your own and not worry about a $3,300 instrument. So moving on, let's go ahead and play our Ernie Ball Music Man Retro 70s Stingray. We are going to play it alongside a bunch of other Stingrays. We're going to do some finger playing, we're going to do some pick playing, and we're going to do some slap. It's going to be a good time. We'll figure it out. And yeah, I'll put some labels here or something. Well, it'll be labeled. Yeah. So let's get to it. And so that brings us to the end of the video. So what do I think about the Ernie Ball Music Man Retro 70s? I almost called it a Stingray Classic. Retro 70s Stingray? It's not worth the $3,300. It's a really good Stingray, don't get me wrong. However, it's heavy, and it is a downgrade in terms of features compared to a Stingray Classic. You can usually find Stingray Classics on Reverb or the used market. I know the prices have been all over the place, but generally speaking, they're cheaper than these, and you get more colors, and you get the 6-bolt neck and all the other hardware features like the truss rod wheel that make quality of ownership, I don't know, better. And I don't like that, we're paying essentially $1,000 more 4 years later for a downgrade. Why? I don't like it. So yeah, I think that this bass was doomed from the get-go, given the price point, given where they went with the features. I think they should have just came back out with the Stingray Classic. Had those features that were upgrades over the original, maybe offer some new fun colors, keep going with that. But then making this like, a limited edition, I'm not sure if it's limited edition or not, but making this a weird model where it's exactly like in the 70s, for better or for worse, for $3,300 is not a great selling point. You should buy an instrument based on its value for you as a player, and not based on how many features from the 70s it has or how it's going to hang on a wall. I feel like this has the same type of energy as like a $5,000 Gibson Les Paul that isn't really going to be played outside of ever and just hang in a wall somewhere, maybe in an office or a very rich person's house. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Again, it's a solid Stingray, but you can get the same or better for way less, or you can make one yourself that's better. So a lot of options out there. Not really pleased with this. Let me know what you all think about the Sterling, I almost called it a Sterling by Music Man. Let me know what you all think about the Ernie Ball Music Man Retro 70s Stingray down in the comments below. And thank you all for watching this video, and thanks for sticking with me. Until we groove again.